when you minister to Muslims, there are some things that we need to be careful of. There are some blockages. There are some cultural blockages. Here's one of the biggest problems that we have. We assume that all Muslims are Arab, in America especially, and in Europe, unfortunately. Arabs only make up 15% of all Muslims. 85% are not Arab. They don't speak Arabic, and they don't care diddly squat about Arabs. Well, they do. I don't want to say they don't. But they don't really want to be seen as Arabs, and that's our problem. We have a huge cultural blockage because we assume that everything the Arabs do, and it's unfortunately, even at this conference, it's Arabs who are taking over all the Islamic work here. And I'm saying, hold on a minute, what about the Asians? The people I work with, if you take a look and see, just people like, you look at Bangladesh, that's 180 million Muslims. India, 220 million Muslims. Pakistan, 200 million Muslims. You're talking 600 million Muslims. The entire Arab world only makes up 230 million. That's 2 to 3 times more of just those 3 countries, and that's 2, 3, 4. Just the 2, 3, 4. Number 1 is Indonesia. It's even bigger. So the 4 top biggest countries in the world are in Asia, and they are not Arabs. So why are we culturally treating them like Arabs? Why are we thinking Arabic? We have to learn Arabic to speak to them. They don't speak Arabic. So why are we learning Arabic? To read this book? I speak Arabic, but that's because I want it next to, so I always keep the Arabic next to my English. But you're going to have to talk to them in their own language, not in Arabic. So amazing to me that almost all of the cultural baggage that we put with us is from the Arab world. We've got to eradicate that and get back to the people that are standing in front of us. That's a huge blockage. I want to get into another one, that is political blockage. This is number 2. Political blockage is this whole problem with Israel that we've talked about in one of these episodes. We've got to stop talking about Israel all the time and start talking about Jesus. We're not here to defend Israel, for heaven's sakes. We're here to defend Jesus. And Jesus crosses all cultures. Jesus is not just there for Israel. He is there for our brothers and sisters who are in Africa. Why talk about Israel to the Africans? Why talk about Israel all the time to the Asians or to the South Americans? We've got to make sure that we bring it back to Jesus. Spiritual blockage, more you leave Saudi Arabia, the more you get into what we call folk Islam. These are these folk beliefs that have been inculcated into Islam. Because if Allah is up here and man is down here, there's nothing in between. There's no spirit world in Islam. It doesn't exist. So they have no protection from the evil spirits, which they know exist. The evil spirits are there, but there's no protection. There's no Holy Spirit. And we're not getting into that, into our methodology. And this is a huge blockage for a lot of missionaries. We have not been trained how to deal with evil spirits. We've not been trained how to cast out demons. We've not been trained any of that. Were you trained that in Bible school or in seminary? That's a huge blockage. A theological blockage. We assume that we share the same God. We do not share the same God. I want nothing to do with Allah. I want everything to do with Yahweh. We don't share the same Jesus. We don't even share the same view of sin. If we don't share the same view of sin, then we certainly don't share the same view of salvation. And there is a theological blockage that many Christians have, assuming that we are all of the Abrahamic faith. No. Islam has nothing to do with the Abrahamic faith. They cannot stipulate that because they can't even trace their lineage back because there was no Muhammad to begin with. Ooh, that's a hard one. We'll get into that at a later time. And then missiological. There are a lot of problems with missiology. I think the biggest problem is we have only been trained one missiological model, and that is friendship, 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 friendship. Love, 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 love. Love and reconciliation. Isn't that what you've been taught? For all Muslims. Is that what you've been taught also to deal with atheists? Or humanists? Or Jehovah's Witnesses that are on your doorstep? Just love them? Love and reconciliation? Or what about the Mormons? Isn't it interesting? Only with Islam is it love and reconciliation. One of the biggest missiological misconceptions is if you come across as being loving and kind, you're going to come across as timid and shy. For a Muslim, if you're timid and shy, you're deceitful. We come across as deceitful because we think that's what you need to do. That's what we've been told. And if you're only going to love people into the kingdom, what kind of people do you think you're going to get? You're going to get people that need to be loved. You're going to get the social misfits. Take a look at all the Muslim background believers that you've met in America or in Europe. Notice they all are misfits. They all are people who are on the boundaries, the borders of their community. And they want to be loved. Of course, they want your time, your energies, everything you can give them. They want you to house them. They want you to feed them. They want you to bring them back to America so you can go from church to church to church to talk up their persecution because, of course, they're persecuted. What about our Sauls who become Pauls? See, Jesus chose 12 disciples, right? We forget the 13th one, Paul. Why did he choose him later? Because Saul was an opinion leader. Saul knew his theology. Saul was a Jew. He was a Pharisee. He knew he was able to go toe to toe with anybody. Was there in the Areopagus. He knew what the Stoics were saying. He could shut down the Epicureans. He could speak from Mars Hill. He started church after church after church after church. Everywhere he went, he started churches. And look at the letters he wrote. Look at the theology. Look at the book of Romans. Why aren't we getting those kind of Muslims? To do that, you're going to have to hammer them with propositional truth. You don't love those people. Saul was not loved into the kingdom. God met him in a dynamic way. Why aren't we doing the same thing? So folks, missiologically speaking, this is one of the biggest blockages. We're getting the wrong kind of people. Continue to love them, but then you're going to have to take care of them. You're going to have to pay for them. They become a parasite on you. Folks, continue to do them. They need it. But where are Sauls who become Pauls? See, that's what I do. That's my job. I'm debating them. I'm confronting them. Next week, I'm going to be up on Speaker's Corner. I'm going to take on hundreds of them all around me. And I'm going to have 150 people watching me so I can model for them how you do to get your Sauls to become Pauls. You got to shut down the Qur'an. You got to shut down Muhammad, and you got to shut down Allah. To do that, you're going to have to be like Paul. But you get beat up if you be up like that. As Paul got beat up, as Paul got thrown out of synagogue, as Paul was thrown into prison, as Paul, twice he got stoned almost to death, as he caused a riot in Ephesus, and they finally killed him in Rome. You're going to get hammered if you do that. That's why people don't want to do it that way. They would just rather love them into the kingdom. See, loving's easy. Everybody can love. Just making relationships, you can do that. Lots of cups of tea and lots of biscuits. But how many people do you bring through, and what kind of people do you bring through? We need people like Paul, who is willing to die. We need to get to that again. Folks, come on home. Let's get our Sauls and make them into Pauls.